In 2018, Elon Musk sat in front of a camera and cried. Not from joy, not from triumph. He told a reporter his job was killing him, that he worked 100-hour weeks, that he hadn't taken more than a week off in years, that he slept at the factory because going home felt like abandoning a war. And when asked if it was worth it, he paused, long enough to make you wonder if he knew the answer. Here was the richest man on Earth, architect of electric cars and reusable rockets, reshaping entire industries with his will alone. And he looked exhausted, hollowed out, like a man who'd won everything except the thing he started searching for. This is not a story about genius. It's a story about what genius costs when you can never stop proving it. He wasn't born powerful. He was born afraid. South Africa in the 70s, apartheid still suffocating the country, his parents' marriage collapsing in slow motion. Elon was small for his age, quiet, lost inside science fiction novels because the real world made no sense to him. Other kids noticed. They beat him so badly once he had to get surgery, threw him down a flight of stairs. He learned early that the world doesn't protect you just because you're smart. It punishes you for being different. So he disappeared into his mind, taught himself computer programming at 10, built a video game at 12 and sold it. Not because he loved games, because he needed proof that his brain could make him matter, that intelligence could be converted into safety, into control, that if he could just solve the right problems, he'd never feel small again. He left South Africa the moment he could. Canada first, then America, transferred to the University of Pennsylvania and studied physics and business because one discipline wasn't enough to contain the pressure inside him. He didn't fit in, didn't date much, didn't relax. While other students were discovering themselves, Elon was building himself, brick by brick, idea by idea, as if his entire personality was a structure he was engineering from scratch. And maybe it was. Because when you grow up powerless, you don't just want success, you want invincibility. He dropped out of a Stanford PhD program after 2 days, not because he couldn't handle it, because he saw the internet coming and couldn't sit still. He and his brother launched a startup called Zip2. Elon coded during the day and slept at the office at night. No apartment, no furniture, just a computer and a YMCA membership for showers. Investors thought he was too intense to be CEO, too controlling, too abrasive, so they replaced him. He smiled through it, took the demotion, let them think he accepted it, and then sold the company for over $300 million and walked away with $22 million. He was 27, richer than he'd ever imagined, and it didn't feel like enough. That's the thing about proving yourself. The goal keeps moving. He could have stopped, invested conservatively, lived in comfort forever, but comfort felt like dying. So he poured everything into X.com, an online bank, worked like a man being chased, merged with a competitor called Confinity. They had this little payment product called PayPal. Elon wanted to be CEO, wanted his vision to lead, but while he was on his honeymoon, the board voted him out, replaced him, again. He came back to find himself sidelined in his own company, and again he said nothing, just waited, watched PayPal sell to eBay for $1.5 billion, walked away with $180 million. Richer, more proven, and somehow still not safe. Most people would retire, heal, build a life with the wife that just married. Elon started 2 companies at once, SpaceX and Tesla, not as side projects, as existential missions. He genuinely believed humanity needed to become multiplanetary or it would die on Earth. That electric cars weren't a luxury, but a survival imperative. These weren't business ideas. They were psychological compulsions dressed up as world-saving. He split himself between rocket factories and car factories, sleeping in conference rooms, showering in bathrooms, eating meals he wouldn't remember. His first wife later wrote that she felt like a side character in his story, that he looked through her, not at her. She wanted a partner. He needed a witness to his becoming. They divorced. He remarried, then divorced again. Same woman, twice, as if he kept trying to fit love into a life that had no room for it. SpaceX's first 3 rockets exploded. Millions of dollars vaporized in fire. Tesla bled cash so fast it nearly collapsed. By 2008, Elon was days from bankruptcy. Both companies on the edge. His marriage is disintegrating, and he made a choice. He poured his last money into the companies instead of saving himself, not because he was brave, because stopping felt like erasing his entire reason for existing. NASA gave SpaceX a contract. Tesla released the Model S. He survived, barely, and the world called him a visionary. But survival isn't the same as winning. It's just postponing the question of what happens when you finally do. The companies grew. So did the mythology. Elon wasn't just a CEO. He was Iron Man, a meme, a prophet. He cultivated it, tweeted constantly, smoked weed on a podcast, launched a car into space because it looked cool. The world loved him for it, worshipped him. And somewhere in that worship, the line between Elon Musk the man and Elon Musk the icon dissolved. He started believing his own narrative, that rules didn't apply to him, that his mission justified anything. He called a rescue diver a pedophile because the man dismissed his submarine idea, manipulated stock prices with tweets, fired employees who disagreed with him, bought Twitter for $44 billion, gutted it, and renamed it X, as if he could finally control the platform that made him famous, as if owning the conversation would fill the silence inside. His kids grew up seeing him in headlines more than in person. He has 10 children now. Some he's close with, some have legally changed their names to disown him. He speaks about population collapse like it's a species-level emergency, fathering children as if they're data points in his mission. But fatherhood requires presence, and presence requires stillness, and stillness is the one thing he's never been able to afford, because if he stops moving, he might feel what's underneath. The fear that never left. The boy who got beaten for being different. The man who keeps winning and can never, ever stop. People ask what drives him, what makes someone work this hard for this long. The answer isn't inspiration, it's terror. Not of failure, of irrelevance, of stopping and discovering that without the mission, without the companies, without the constant forward motion, there's nothing left. That he built an empire but forgot to build a self. That everything he touched turned to progress, except his own life. He's worth more than $200 billion now, owns the conversation on electric vehicles, on space travel, on the future itself, and still he works through the night. Still he tweets at 3 a.m. Still he picks fights and moves goalposts and launches new projects as if the next one will finally be enough. As if success is a finish line instead of a treadmill he can't step off. And maybe that's the real cost. Not what he gave up to get here, but the fact that here, after everything, still doesn't feel like a rival. Just another place to prove himself from. The question was never whether he'd change the world. He did. The question is whether the world he built has room for the man who built it.